Kia ora. In today's headlines, legislation enabling the first stage of the government's welfare reforms has passed its first reading by 64 votes to 57. The Social Security Amendment Bill extends work obligations for those on the DPB and increases monitoring and requirements placed on 16 to 18-year-olds receiving the youth benefit. Cabinet Minister Jerry Brownlee has apologised for his offhand remarks about Finland in Parliament last week. He's explained his comments were made in response to Labour's stance against privatisation.
Here was the Labour Party saying we should be more like Finland, when in fact they're opposing policies that would make us more like Finland.
And Finland's deputy head of mission in Australia says the comments did upset some Finns, but ultimately hasn't affected relations between our countries. Chris Cairns has cleared his reputation in the first libel case involving Twitter. Lawyer Nick Russell said the case highlights that social media is covered.
Defamation law is concerned with what we call publication, which is the transmission or communication of a piece of information from one person to another. And the law of defamation has never really cared how that communication takes place.
Nick Russell told our newsroom that poor evidence added thousands to what Modi has to pay Cairns.
He found that there were big holes in their evidence and he wasn't prepared to accept it at all. But I think it's important to bear in mind that in defamation cases, often the money is only one aspect of it, and that the really important thing that people get out of defamation hearings, and the reason usually that they go into them in the first place, is they want vindication. They want to be able to turn around and say, this person said that about me, it was a lie, it was not true, and I've got a court decision that proves it.
The Maritime Union has been granted an injunction they were seeking in their long-running dispute with the ports of Auckland. President Gary Parslow says wharfies will be getting back pay and the port is no longer allowed to advertise or contract work out until another hearing.
All of our people are being paid, so that speaks volumes. So this port's now dead to the 16th of May. There's just nothing.
Amnesty International's annual review of death sentences and executions found some improvement. Only 10% of countries carried out executions. However, they did so at an alarming rate. Those 20 countries executed at least 676 people last year. CanCern is calling for the government to take immediate action to speed up insurance and EQC settlements for Canterbury homeowners. The group represents 38 residents groups recovering from the earthquakes, and spokeswoman Leanne Curtis says they've hit a roadblock.
Been made even more complex by land zoning, so bring in the government offer, that adds another sort of layer, and then the EQC's court ruling for apportionment, so each event being a new claim.
Social networking site Facebook now lists not just friends, but enemies. A new application called Enemy Graph lets you add enemies to your Facebook profile, including products, people or companies. Youthline's Stephen Bell is concerned that it could turn very personal.
If you provide a channel, then people will go down it and utilise it. I mean, it's certainly got the potential to cause some emotional bruising and distress, I would think.
You can listen to the full interview on the Newsrun page at rima.co.nz. Tonga has put on mourning colours of black and purple for the funeral of their late King Tupou V. Willie Florian from Pacific Partners told Rima that the monarch's legacy to his people has been likened to the love expressed in the Bible.
Laying down some of his authority for the sake of the people is very moving.
The Israeli Foreign Ministry has decided to cut contact with the United Nations Human Rights Council after it said it would investigate Israeli settlements. The head of the council describes the move as most regrettable, while the Hamas movement in the Gaza Strip has slammed the Israeli decision as a Zionist attempt to blackmail Israel's critics. And finally, Venice may soon have to ditch its nickname of the Floating City. It's sinking into the water more than 5 times faster than previously thought. Scientists say the city is also tilting to the east and heading out to the Adriatic Sea as it's hit by more floods than ever before. Well, that's the news from the team at RBG. Ka kite anō.